Well, I had a dream the other night. Keep a hammering, keep a hammering. Well, I saw old Satan and he gave me a fright. Keep a hammering on my soul. Oh, my children, I'm going away to leave you, leave you, leave you, leave you. Oh, my children.
Hi, Sylvia. How you doing, sweetie? How you doing?
Thanks for coming down to St. Catharines.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, too. So, that's something to show you today.
Okay.
You're going to be very interested.
My soul. Well, the spider and the bed bug, I had a little tussle. Keep a hammering, keep a hammering. The spider kicked the stuffings out of the bed bug's bustle. Keep a hammering on my soul. Oh, my children, I'm going away to leave you, leave you, leave you, leave you. Oh, my children, I'm going away to leave you, leave you. Oh, my children, I keep a hammering, I keep a hammering, keep a hammering on my soul.
Bill, this is the BME church, the Salem church, the church that Harriet Tubman went to.
Okay.
There's someone I want you to meet, Donna Ford, and she's president of the Central Ontario Network for Black History.
Okay, great.
Hi, Donna.
Hello.
I want you to meet Bill Douglas.
Hello,
Bill.
Donna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I guess I'm told that you're interested in the Underground Railroad, are you?
I was, yes. We have some places in Canfield area that was part of the Underground Railroad. Yes, yeah.
And St. Catharines was a very popular place. But Grantham Township, which is just outside of Niagara-on-the-Lake, is where they settled because they were most of them all worked on farms and plantations. They knew farming well. And so when they came here, that's what they could find work in.
I understand that a lot of them came up Fort area in Buffalo across the Niagara River. Just imagine the hardships that they suffered when they come to Canada.
Yeah.
Even though they were sort of free, they still suffered a lot of hardships.
Oh, they did. They really did. Finding accommodation, and it took a while. And like I said, a lot of them did work on the farms in this area. And how they got across that river, I'll never know. Yeah. And, you can imagine what it must have been like at that time, that, all these people, looking for safety and, looking for somewhere to live where they could live.
Start a new life all over again. And,
Yeah,
exactly.
And St. Catharines was extremely welcoming to them. At one point, the population was 600 black folks in St. Catharines when they did the first census here. Yeah, and that was a lot for them. And then gradually the church was built and homes were built and people found jobs. And just on the other side of the street, 2 doors down, was the Baptist church, Zion Baptist Church, the Black Baptist Church. It was the other black church in St. Catharines. It was a big, beautiful church. Yeah, it was. And Harriet Tubman lived on this street here, which was North Street, when she lived in St. Catharines. Yeah, she was here for about 10 years. That she went back to the U.S. and she she joined the Union Army. She was stationed down in Beaufort, South Carolina. Yeah. She was a spy and she was an officer. And she was down there until the war ended. And then she moved back to Auburn, which was where she was from, Auburn, New York. Yeah. Historically, she's known. This is her church, and they do get a lot of publicity because of that, and people want to know about her, and people just love the story of Harriet.
Do you know any of the connection with Harriet Tubman and the past residents of Canfield?
One of her nieces, I believe, lived in Canfield.
Okay.
Yeah, and her name was, I don't know what her first name was, but they were a Barnes family.
Okay.
And she lived in She lived in Canfield, and that's the one that she left her in her will.
Okay. I remember hearing about her niece being in Canfield, and I just want to know if you could pinpoint any more information about that relationship. But
She brought her family here. Her brother, Henry Stewart, he bought 6 acres of property out there in Grantham Township, just down the road from where my great-grandfather lived and all the other freedom seekers. Like, it was a pretty good-sized community. Yeah. So much of it originated with my favorite man, and that's William Still. Oh, he was a wonderful man, and he helped our people so much. We can go down there, and I can show you some of the information that I have, and talk about William Still, and show you some of the pictures that I have.
okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus, my all to heaven is gone. The way is so delightful, hallelujah. He whom I fixed my hopes upon. The way is so delightful, hallelujah. Oh, the way is so delightful in the service of the Lord.
All of these people had something to do with helping runaways. Yeah, they're special people too.
William Still.
Yeah.
Oh, the way is so delightful, hallelujah.
This is William Still's book, and for all those freedom seekers that went through Philadelphia to get help from William Still, he kept record of them all, because he knew that when the war was over, when the Civil War was over, that people were going to want to be reunited with their families. So they'd have to have some clue as to where they might have been going and what they were. And so I found the story of my great-grandfather, Adam. And Adam stopped in to see William Still. He described Adam by saying that he's dark, rugged, and sensible, and that he gave the name of his owner. And then he says that he sent them, he gave them the next day $1.50 each, which at that time was quite a lot of money, gave them $1.50 each and sent them on their way. He doesn't describe the route or doesn't say which way they were going, whether they were going north, south, east, or west. It could take days or weeks to get to where they were going.
Now, did they actually use the stars at night to get where they were going, or
The North
sacred
Star?
songs that they were saying to get them to where they were next station or whatever?
Tubman's, one of her favorites was Wade in the Water. Wade in the Water, and of course with that, you know, they had the tracking dogs, and the dogs couldn't track them in the water. Yeah, and so that was one of her favorites pieces that she used, one of the favorite spirituals that she used. But also it was known that they followed the North Star, as you know, when they were traveling that way and coming north to Canada. That's where William Still knew to send them. Yeah.
Imagine what they went through today, and the way they supported each other when they came across into Canada and got the freedom. And it was like the words I could use. I guess it was the courage. It was the courage they had, and the belief they had in God to get them here, and what they went through, the trials, not only with the people, but the weather, you know, coming across in wintertime on the ice. It would have to be really cold for them to cross the Niagara River on ice floats, and having no food, and probably the clothes that was on the back, everything would have been like, yeah. I think like what Harriet Tubman said, slavery was next to being in hell. I think it's tremendous, and to be able to acknowledge that they were my family means a lot.
Grandma was the strongest woman that God ever created. She was barely just over 4 foot tall. She was born with a back deformity that didn't stop her in the least. Not one person came into her home who didn't know about the Lord. Okay, so that's Grandma and Grandpa. Gramps was a good man. He liked his beer and his cigars, and Grandma didn't like his beer and his cigars. But he was a good man. He always called me Betsy. He loved to call me Betsy, and that was very special. I loved him. I loved him a lot. He worked hard on the railroad, but he wasn't the best provider. But I think that was evident of the class that we were in Canfield. I learned very early on that we were poor. Grandpa would cut out cardboard and put in the bottom of our shoes so that we could get through the rest of the school year without having to get shoes. There was only Robert Millick and I in grade 4 together. That was my best year. But every Monday, Robert would come to school, and at lunchtime, his lunch, he would have a roast beef sandwich with pickles on it. And I knew that for Sunday dinner, he would have a roast beef for dinner. My mother would feed us for a week on a can of salmon.
This is a photo of our class in Canfield, and Betty Ann and I were in the same grade. When I was a kid, I thought it was a great place to live. My name is Linda Robertson, and I was born and raised in Canfield, Ontario, on a dairy farm. I didn't realize that we did have a lot of black families. I mean, that was normal for us. And although I did go to Dunnville, not a great deal. I had a grandmother there, but I don't remember ever seeing a black person in Dunnville. And when I got to high school, there were no black people in the school when I started. And then Betty Ann was first black person the next year. But Betty Ann was so bright, I couldn't understand why a teacher would mistreat her like that, and I didn't know it at the time.
I've come to realize that high school was probably more difficult for me as a colored girl than I thought it was.
So there was sort of an underlying thing that happened, but I think that I knew a little bit about it, and that made my friendship with Betty Ann even stronger, because I was not going to let anybody tell me that a black person was any different than a white, because my mother never felt that way either.
I made friends very easily with girls. I didn't have a lot of friends who were boys, and I never dated in high school. I was never, ever, ever asked to a school dance. Oh yeah, I knew that I'd never stay there. On my 20th birthday, March 20th, 1965, I walked out of my mother's house and went and moved to Toronto. But I knew that that was no place for me. But I didn't know why, Graham. I didn't realize then why. I didn't realize what I was running away from. Okay, I'm looking at the original older choir, and they're all passed away now, except for Wendy Brown, who is 2 years old, and my brother Billy and myself. Out of this whole group of all of my relatives, that's it. Who am I going to offend by saying, that's the way it was? That's the way it was. I didn't want to identify with somebody that I felt that I was being hurt by. Not only that area that didn't want me, my family turned their backs on me. They didn't support me in who I chose to marry. Not one of my family came to my wedding because of the man I chose to marry. Not one of my family.
We're going out today, and I believe Bill Douglas, who I know quite well, is coming with us. And I'd like to take Bill out and show him the cemetery. We've been going to do it for quite a while. Never got around to it.
My ancestors and that side of the family would be the Streets, Lucy and Stephanie Street.
Yeah, there's a cemetery over there now.
This yeah, over here, yeah.
The Street family, being the first settlers, were very important. They held services in their cabin and with their children. They decided in 1882 to build the brick church. These pictures of the tombstones in the cemetery were taken about 1993, I believe. This is Carrie, the wife of William Andrew Barnes, and this is Carrie's tombstone. One of the most prominent persons buried in there are husband and wife, William Andrew Barnes and his wife, Carrie, or Caroline. Caroline was the daughter of William Stewart. William Stewart was the brother of Harriet Tubman. I'm sure that Harriet Tubman knew Canfield. Over here we have both Stephanie and Lucy Street when they passed away and was buried there. So they're as I say, the first settlers here. These are really clear pictures. This was taken a long time ago.
Oh my goodness, the stones are still standing.
Yeah, they're not like that now.
No. This is one of the first new $10 bills with Viola Desmond on them that I happen to get. So it's been stuck on my fridge there for a few months. And I thought, seeing as Bill and I are going down to the cemetery, thought I would take it down and we'll leave it down there for ancestors to peruse over. The cemetery is down in that little copse of woods down there. It starts about there and then runs over to the edge of that property line over there. You and I have talked about going down there, and you're gonna look up your ancestors for several years now, so maybe today we'll go do it. Well, you picked a good day for a visit, Bill.
I did. That was emotional, yeah, and it got more emotional once we read the names on the headstones and looked around, and now that they got surveyed, and it's like, wow. somebody's listening. Somebody's finally taking steps towards the preservation of my ancestors' burial grounds. I'm blessed to have such a rich history, family history. And looking down on us, I'm sure that they're shouting with joy. We put it on the stone and took pictures and hoping that they see it and say, well, we're two crazy guys back here and we're putting a $10 bill on it, but there's a lot of history to that. Was probably only Black person to have their picture on a Canadian $10 bill.
So I have 3 books here. They're diaries that grandmother started keeping in 1916. And in it, every page were grandmother's devotional for that day. This one is Philippians 2, verse 4. Then the next day was John 4, 18. Then all of a sudden she would stop writing the memory verses and she started her obituaries. She had a dear, dear brother named Harry. In loving memory of my dear brother who was killed in action. October 1st, 1918, somewhere in France, in his 22nd year. In loving memory of my dear friend, H. Barnes, who passed away September 29, 1919, in his 24th year. And here's one of our relatives, Morris, in loving memory, Mary Morris, who died March the 9th. Here's Uncle Dave Street, who departed this life July 11th, 1920, gone but never will be forgotten. It's precious. It's absolutely precious. You know, this is my family. This is the people that I'm part of. They're part of me. So she's writing this little diary, and then all of a sudden, in my mother's handwriting, there's a little note. And when I read this, September the 6th, in my mother's handwriting, Mother passed away Wednesday afternoon. She just had to finish it. She just had to finish Grandma's diary.